It was the coldest night of the year. Snow was falling heavily from the dark sky, and the freezing wind howled through the empty streets.
Almost time. These candles look wonderful.
They do.
And these lights are just right. Happy New Year,
It was New Year's Eve, and everyone was inside their warm homes, preparing to celebrate with their families. But one little girl was not inside. She wandered through the snowy streets all alone, with no shoes on her tiny feet and no coat to protect her from the bitter cold. Her name was not important to anyone, for she was just a poor match girl, trying to sell matches to earn a few coins. When she had left home that morning, she was wearing her mother's old slippers. They were far too big for her small feet, but they were better than nothing. However, as she hurried across the street to avoid two speeding carriages, both slippers fell off.
I got your slipper. Catch me
One
if you
slipper
can.
disappeared completely in the snow, and a naughty boy grabbed the other one, laughing as he ran away. He said he would use it as a cradle for his dolls someday. Now the little girl walked barefoot through the icy streets. Her feet turned red and then blue from the terrible cold. She carried many boxes of matches in her worn-out apron and held one small bundle tightly in her freezing hands.
It's so cold. I just want to be warm again. Why won't the snow stop falling? Please, it's so cold.
All day long, she had called out
Anyone
to
want
people
to buy
passing by,
matches?
but nobody stopped. Nobody bought even a single match. Nobody gave her a single coin. The poor little girl was cold, hungry, and completely alone on this special night when everyone else was warm and happy. As the evening grew darker and colder, the little match girl knew she should go home.
Papa.
But she was terribly afraid. She had not sold any matches all day, which meant she had no money at all to bring home to her father.
Look at me.
Her father was a cruel man who became very angry whenever she came home without money. He would shout at her and beat her, and she was so frightened of him. The little girl's tears froze on her cheeks as she thought about facing him empty-handed. But staying outside was dangerous too. The temperature was dropping lower and lower, and her whole body was shaking violently from the cold. She looked around desperately for somewhere to shelter from the freezing wind. Finally, she spotted a small corner between two houses, where one building stuck out a bit further than the other. It wasn't much, but it would protect her a little from the icy wind. She crept into that tiny space and curled up as small as she could, trying to keep warm. The little girl pulled her frozen feet close to her body and wrapped her thin arms around herself. Through the windows of nearby houses, she could see the warm, golden glow of candles. She could smell the most wonderful aroma of roasting goose and freshly baked bread.
Cheers to a happy and healthy New Year.
Families were gathering together for New Year's Eve dinner, laughing and celebrating. How she wished she could be inside one of those warm houses. How she longed for just one bite of food and one moment near a warm fire. But she knew that could never be. She was just a poor match girl, and nobody wanted her. The little girl's hands were so numb from cold that she could barely feel her fingers anymore. She looked down at the matches in her hand and thought, but she was afraid. What if her father found out she had used a match for herself? Instead of selling it, he would be so angry, yet she was freezing to death. and one small match couldn't hurt, could it? Finally, she couldn't bear the cold any longer. With trembling fingers, she took out one match and struck it against the wall. Scratch! It blazed to life with a beautiful, warm flame. The little girl held her frozen hands over the flame, and the most amazing thing happened. The tiny match flame seemed to grow bigger and brighter, and suddenly she saw a wonderful vision. She was sitting in front of a large, beautiful iron stove with shiny brass decorations. The fire inside was burning so warmly, so comfortably. She stretched out her feet toward it, desperate to feel its warmth. But then, poof! The match burned out, and the vision vanished. The warm stove disappeared, and she was back in the cold, dark corner, with only the burnt match in her hand. This time, when the match flared up, something even more magical happened. The wall in front of her became transparent, like a thin curtain, and she could see right through it into a grand dining room. There was a table covered with a snowy white tablecloth. On it sat the finest dishes, and in the center, a magnificent roasted goose stuffed with apples and plums, steaming and smelling absolutely delicious. As the little match girl stared at the incredible feast, something even more astonishing happened. The roasted goose jumped right off its plate. With a fork and knife stuck in its back, it waddled across the table and hopped down onto the floor, heading straight toward her. But just as the goose was about to reach her, the match went out. The vision disappeared, and once again she was left staring at the cold, damp wall. The wonderful smell was gone. She could feel the icy wind biting at her face. This time, the most beautiful sight of all appeared before her eyes. She found herself sitting beneath an enormous Christmas tree. It was the most magnificent tree she had ever seen. Even more spectacular than the one she had once glimpsed through a rich merchant's window. Hundreds and hundreds of candles burned on its green branches, making the whole tree sparkle like a tower of stars. Colourful ornaments and painted pictures decorated every branch. Beautiful toys and candies hung everywhere, just waiting for happy children to enjoy them. The little girl reached out her hands toward the glittering tree, wishing with all her heart that she could touch it. But the moment she did, the match burned out and the tree vanished into darkness. However, something strange happened. As the vision faded, all the candles from the Christmas tree seemed to float upward, rising higher and higher into the night sky. They transformed into bright stars, twinkling in the darkness above. Then one star fell from the sky, leaving a long, glowing trail of light behind it. When the little girl saw the falling star, she remembered something her dear grandmother had once told her. Her grandmother was the only person who had ever truly loved her, but she had died a long time ago.
When a star falls from heaven, it means someone's soul is going up to heaven to be with God.
Tears filled the little girl's eyes as she thought about her beloved grandmother. How she missed her. How she longed to see her sweet face and feel her warm hugs again. With shaking hands, She quickly struck another match, and there, in the golden glow of the match flame, stood her grandmother.
Everything is going to be all right, my child.
She looked so beautiful, so radiant.
Oh, Grandmother, please take me with you. I know you'll disappear when the match goes out, just like the warm
With the
stove.
kindest smile on her
The
face,
delicious goose.
she was surrounded
and
by
the
a soft,
beautiful Christmas
heavenly
tree.
light, and her
Please
arms
don't
were
leave
stretched
me
out
alone
toward the
again.
child. The little girl was so desperate not to lose her grandmother that she frantically struck the entire bundle of matches against the wall all at once. They blazed up together, creating a light brighter than the brightest day, brighter than the sun itself. In that magnificent light, her grandmother had never looked more beautiful or more loving. She reached down and gently lifted the little girl into her arms. And together, they rose up into the sky, flying higher and higher, wrapped in warmth and joy and love. There was no more cold, no more hunger, no more pain or fear. They were together, and they were going home. The next morning, as the first light of New Year's Day broke across the sky,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
people began to emerge from their homes to celebrate the
beautiful
beginning of a new
morning.
year. As they walked through the streets, someone noticed a small figure sitting in the corner between two houses. It was the little match girl, still leaning against the cold wall. Her cheeks were rosy, and there was a peaceful smile on her face, as if she was having the most beautiful dream. All around her lay matches, burnt matches, an entire bundle of them. All used up, but no one knew the truth. No one could see what the little girl had seen in her final moments. No one knew about the warm stove, the delicious feast, the magnificent Christmas tree, or the loving grandmother. No one could imagine the beautiful journey she had taken, or the wonderful place where she now lived, free from all suffering. The little match girl had found her warmth at last. She had found her home. And though the world had forgotten her in life, heaven had welcomed her with open arms.